thought I was better than this. Dramatic voiceover while stranded in space?
Making fun of the thing while doing the thing doesn't make you cool, it just makes you a hipster. Please refer to the following ding if you have any questions regarding how I feel about hipsters.
I guess when you're dying, the first thing to go is your creativity.
That might make sense, considering your body probably should be using all your brain power trying to figure out a way not to die. That being said, I can't tell if Rick's being profound or just using the opportunity to take cheap shots at Marvel, the Russo brothers, and Iron Man. So in lieu of dragging this out any further, I'll just add us in for him Rick trolling us for the millionth time. This is going to be a long season, isn't it?
Citadel's gone.
Acting like the Citadel being gone is negative. We've been there enough. Let's move on.
Nobody quits Twitter.
Hey, that's not... Okay, yeah, that checks out.
Hey, remember like a second ago when you pretended not to know who Iron Man was? Who was that for?
Oh, how I've missed you, Rick and Morty.
Spinal Cord, Robitussin as a base, then surprise me.
Robitussin's a funny choice, but since you started in that direction, it's likely your spinal cord will surprise you with some cough drops in a neti pot. Show makes me wonder if this was just a fun idea they wanted to throw in the opening or a glimpse of a future Rick and Morty as Sherlock and Watson episode. I so want it to happen! Stop playing games with my emotions in the opening credits.
Oh my God, she found you. Here, eat.
If Beth didn't even know they'd been found, who were these two perfectly timed sandwiches made for?
Digestibot, convert to nutrient mass.
Show drops a Deus Ex Machina and hopes we won't notice. Also handling a nutrient mass with your bare hands.
I explained it fine, Morty. You're spoon-feeding spoons.
So is that taking food with a spoon and putting it into another spoon, or is it using a spoon to feed someone actual spoons? I mean, both are funny visuals, but I need to know what I'm laughing at.
Oh my God, the Jerry Beret.
Oh, the Jerry Beret. Deep cut.
Making fun of your fans for getting the reference.
But Rick pays me in things like Wolverine claws.
Pretty sure we all felt a disturbance as that singular individual just yelled at the screen, "Those are not Wolverine claws!" Well, I must humbly inform you that the double claw arrangement does belong to X-23, who ultimately takes up the mantle of Wolverine. So, as they say, the episode's case does hold water. However, litigation has no place here and will be sent accordingly. Having a doorbell for a garage door. This picture, right here, for which I have so many questions. Who is this? Is it an Easter egg? A young Rick, perhaps? One that is yet to know the ravages of time? Maybe it's Sleepy Gary. Could he have been real in this universe? Maybe my memory is failing me? Maybe the numerous callbacks in this series have become too much? Or maybe, just maybe, this picture means nothing at all and is just a cruel joke thrown in for the creator's sick amusement. Well, all the magazines on this rack seem pretty sinful. My main issue is with Rolling Boner, because it sounds painfully detached. Also, porn magazines survive a mutant holocaust. Wait, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, now we'd have time to read the articles, I guess, so I'm going with the bad thing.
Damn it, Morty, there's no doctors anymore.
Then maybe announce yourself before sneaking up on your kid who's carrying a weapon.
Figures it's underwhelming the one time I visit.
Tourists.
They say my mind is held captive in a time loop, trapped in the day of a traumatic event.
Ah, this is one of those convenient exposition notes that show up when the writers realize there's so much going on that they couldn't possibly explain it organically in 20 minutes.
Right. I used to drink.
Using alcoholism as an excuse for your behavior.
She reminds me of you.
Oh, really? Is she dead too?
The AI ghost version of Diane would be devastatingly efficient at TV sins. Rick and Morty Quantumania.
My plan is to wait for you to turn your back, then I'm going to grab all your shit and split.
This moment where Morty gets bested and has to chase after Jerry is unexpected and surprisingly thought-provoking. We find out that Jerry is content with his life and reached a point of acceptance with himself that neither Rick nor Morty has been able to find. And beneath all the silliness, there's a meaningful question about what it means to move on.
Morty wrote this fast because had to set trap, thought you'd have cooler shit. See other note, bye.
And it's also hilarious.
Batman doesn't abandon people.
Jason Todd has entered the chat.
If you were pulled home by whatever happened, it's likely our target was as well.
Convenient computer-generated ghost reasoning is convenient and reasonable.
Or you'd be a bomb. Do you feel bomby?
Asking this and not giving the person any idea what that would feel like, because what I think bomby feels like usually turns out to just be a fart.
Where are we going? To kill your grandpa, little buddy.
Premature murder. No, that's not it. Premeditated murder. Gah. Conspiracy to commit murder. That's it.
Am I in a fucking K-hole right now? What is going on?
Asking this without prior knowledge of eating Kellogg's Special K.
Listen, I'm not here. Or am I?
This eviler Rick f***s around for all the some time. And we never learn why his base looks like a Perplexus maze ball.
There's the clone you found. Or maybe it's me all naked. Just a little Kaiser Sose.
This is not how you Kaiser Soze. This might be how you Terminator or Sixth Day. Wait, is that what happens in Sixth Day? Did anyone actually watch Sixth Day? I've lost my train of thought. Regardless, incorrect references to Kaiser Soze will always get you a sin. I don't make the rules. Oh, wait. Actually, I do. So here's 5 sins.
You did this last season. You're like a suicide bomber.
Do they often do the thing more than once? Maybe I'm not getting it. Well, this one is for confusion then. Theirs or mine.
Oh, fucking stupid fifth dimensional stomach juices.
Assuming all stomach juices from the 5th dimension are the same.
This emergency was oversold to me.
Rick pulling a MacGuffin out of his pocket just so he can be unimpressed by something cliche.
Wait, if they had to wear helmets? I do child-proofing stuff while you're asleep.
Doing stuff to someone's body while they're asleep. And yes, this makes all surgeries, though medically necessary, still inherently creepy. Also, considering Rick could have probably pulled some spacesuits out of his ass, the writers have essentially written themselves into a plot hole just so they could write themselves back out. I don't see the bowl for the peas. Where did the peas come from? Don't eat the peas!
It's colder than Beth on our anniversary.
Season 2 Jerry survives this. That is to say, he's not killed by Season 6 Space Beth in this scene.
What the f, Dad? Why would you bring that thing into our house?
It was cute.
The father-son conversation from when my younger brother was born somehow makes its way into the episode.
The whole fucking episode all over again.
The fourth wall called and is starting to question its existence. How is this house so pristine already? There was a lot more going on in here than just a few dead bodies.
So, what do you want to do today? Eat some snacks and maybe let me kiss you finally? You know, with my mouth and stuff?
We're about to learn that all of these people are tiny parts of Morty's consciousness. So, I don't know what's sadder, that some small part of Morty wants to kiss himself or that another part is totally not into it.
You guys keep thinking I'm a religious leader. You're all my grandson, your name is Morty, you're stuck in a video game, and I'm here to get you out.
Look, this is a pretty tough sell, but Rick Roy's tactics certainly aren't doing him any favors. If he wants to make sure this doesn't look like an organized religion, why use a flyer that clearly gives the impression he's running for political office? Also, I think it's worth mentioning that we're 6 seasons in, and this show's still coming up with clever and intricate sci-fi concepts and introducing them clearly and efficiently, which is more than can be said for this sin removal, so just take it and let's move on.
The power went out, the game restarted, and your identity has been splintered into all the non-player characters.
Well, then that seems like a pretty big engineering flaw, no? I mean, when the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, it's not like the pirates eat the tourists. Is a joke I just totally made up myself.
Every single one of you is 1/5 billionth of Morty. All of you collectively are Morty.
But how are they even functioning if they're only 1/5 billionths of Morty's consciousness? I use at least 10% of my brain, and yesterday I totally forgot the word for that thing you do when you thrust your hips backwards and forwards and try to stay inside of a moving circular void. Hula hooping, you know, for kids.
Do you understand time dilation? I'm losing a month a second out here.
So what happens to Roy while you're out here? Does he go on autopilot? Does he disappear? Because by the end of this conversation, you'll have been gone for almost 2 full years. And if you really want people to buy in, you should be shooting for 3 days away, max.
Just do a Die Hard.
What does that mean?
Sneak around, use air vents. You've never seen Die Hard?
Hey, doing a Die Hard's way more than just sneaking around and hiding in air vents. You could dedicate a whole episode to doing a Die Hard if you wanted to, but I suppose that might come off as an unimaginative excuse to include a lot of Die Hard references, so I guess you'd have to balance it with an overly metaphorical A-plot, questioning our perception of reality against our many internal narratives, and that just seems like a lot of mixed messages. Melting an entire stick of Morty butter to cook only 2 eggs. Designing a video game that's so detailed it simultaneously keeps track of 5 billion individual NPCs but won't render a simple license plate. But if this is a game about Roy, why is it currently focusing on her walking down the street? Shouldn't it be wherever Roy is right now? And why does it look like it's happening in real time? And yes, I know the game is broken, but you know what? You're broken. Okay, that was mean. I'm sorry. This job just gets to you sometimes. This Don't Touch Me game reminds me of a game I played this one time in an arcade called Flaming Finger. You basically had to draw your finger through a map and try to get to the end of the maze before the time ran out. No lie, I played that game so many times in a row it literally rubbed the skin off the end of my index finger, which of course meant I had no fingerprint and was then logically required to take up a life of crime. 20 years in prison and it was all the fault of Flaming Finger. Flaming Finger.
We exchange tokens for digital currency. We don't have a safe.
Correction. What you don't have is a head.
Discount Mr. Takagi makes a great point. What are the terrorists doing here if there's no currency to actually steal? What are they even heisting?
Hello, my name is Morty. I'm a 14-year-old boy in a video game.
Still better than most religious music, except for the Benedictine monks of Santo Domingo de Silos. Those dudes f***ing rule. Coming through the ceiling when you've already driven a tank through the fireplace. Stealing your logo from Star Trek. I'd say this was a nod to Space Force doing the same thing, but I'm not sure 1/5 billionths of Morty's brain would be quite that meta.
Sneak around, call in some vents, do a Die Hard.
Imitating Die Hard this well without ever having seen Die Hard.
Oh my god, it's disgusting, but it tastes good.
Foie gras.
Because they killed him, and it wasn't difficult.
Getting so angry you accidentally go full Gungan.
Every sentient civilization across the galaxy eventually develops the same myth.
Johns, Bobby, are we supposed to believe that despite every single sentient species having their own version of Die Hard, there isn't a single iteration that better suits this specific situation? Is the show seriously saying that no one in the galaxy has come up with Die Hard in an arcade? I'm amazed we haven't come up with Die Hard in an arcade.
The difference being that cultures like mine are aware of its importance.
Fine, but did they care enough to make 2 killer sequels and then wait over a decade to make another one about hackers and shit, and then wait a further 6 years to make another one that was basically nothing like the others and essentially lost everything that was fun about the original? Did they? Did they live free until it was a good day to die hard? Did they?
Walkie-talkie die hard, motherfucker.
We all have that friend that mangles movie quotes. This sin is for them.
The world is united because the world is one 14-year-old boy.
United? The only thing that would unite a world of 14-year-old boys is the mutual agreement that no sock could be confidently used for its intended purpose.
I couldn't find it, so I'm standing in the general area with the microphone.
Is exactly how my sex tapes get made?
For Good Enough News, I'm Tony.
Good enough news position.
That will force the game to reset, but first it'll kick us out, which Morty should survive. I mean, whatever amount of Morty we have on board.
This is the most yada pile of convenience in the episode. Not just that you can force a reset, but that the reset will kick out Morty, and the reset won't harm Morty. It's almost like the creators of this game were in cahoots with the writers of Rick and Morty. Also, why does it only kick out the Morty minions that are on the ship? Why would a forced glitch have arbitrary plot tension rules?
A mom in a video game, occupied by a tiny fraction of yourself. A fraction of yourself which is now dead forever, and fractions add up.
Okay, so when a piece of Morty dies, they die for good? But Rick will eventually spend decades in here. So if those fractions add up, why isn't Rick in more of a hurry? If this simulation is anything like the real world, 60 million fractions of Morty are dying every year from natural causes, sloth attacks, and staple gun pranks. All of which means that Rick only has maybe 83 years before there are no fractions of Morty left to save. Unless, of course, the fractions that die are saved by the game and recycled into the babies that the other fractions of Morty are making. Putting aside the fact that we don't even have a word for what type of cest that is, it also means that Rick shouldn't be worrying about losing fractions of Morty at all. Also, for some inexplicable reason, at least 2 other fractions of Morty's subconscious believe they have monocular vision.
I'm going to wander the arcade unarmed, and when she comes across me, I'll pretend to be a hostage.
If Johns has studied Die Hard so much, wouldn't it make more sense to improve upon the mistakes made in the movie rather than repeat them and fall for the same tricks? Hook, line, and sinker? Also, I'm tempted to send Summer for ruining this fancy suit, but I'm sure Johns has too.
You can't just keep yelling Die Hard!
I mean, you're basically doing the same thing, as is this episode. There's a lot of hypocrisy going around here. Don't throw bare feet in glass houses. Or whatever.
He spent 50 years! 50 years! It's what, a couple hours to him?
Well, since he said that every month is a second, 50 years would be 10 minutes, not 2 hours. And the President of the United States should know this. They don't just let any idiot have that job.
I can finally get out of these clothes. I don't have nearly enough pockets.
Complaining to a woman about how you don't have enough pockets.
But you have to tell us you love us. I mean, at this point, even if he said it, what's with the pause?
Rick is a dick for no reason, even though his dickishness will short-circuit his own plans cliché. Where the hell were these guys a few minutes ago? Let me guess, they're all sitting on a beach earning 20%?
We gotta help her.
You know what? Wherever she is, I'm sure she's doing fine without your help.
Woof, jinx anyone.
Trying to make me believe that Rick believes in me believing that Rick believes in jinxes.
You don't have to not do things that were done in Die Hard. You can shoot the glass. Shoot the glass.
Scene does not contain John saying this in their native tongue and then repeating it in English for clarity.
Wait.
And then what?
And then we help your sister do her Die Hard.
But how in the hell are they able to hear this in real time? This game is happening so fast it should sound like this.
His name is Rick, and we have no way of knowing if your generation is actually part of Morty.
Do you really have a way of knowing anything? Like, for instance, how do you know that there aren't parts of Morty in things other than human NPCs? Maybe dogs have some Morty in them. Maybe rocks with googly eyes. I've seen everything everywhere all at once. I know how this shit works.
Okay, this is a little awkward, but the time dilation has given me a chance to reflect.
Sincere Rick is the least convincing Rick, but since we're in time dilation, I have to be careful how I do this, because I could end up skipping the entire rest of the season if I'm not careful, so skip? Well, still overshot it. Give me a second. I got to adjust the time dilation offset manifold. Just tweak this here. Time dilation. Not my fault Rick has to get all sentimental and pretend like 5 full seasons of sociopathy don't exist. So move this wire here and boom. Okay, this should jump us back to close to the right spot. And unskip.
You really are a good grandson. You know that? I'm proud of you, Morty.
All right, let's try this again. I'm not going to presume to know how this alien's anatomy works, but I would think it's safe to assume that this arm should at least be slightly less functional while carrying this laser hole around.
You left your book in the bathroom. I read it while I took a
Reading on the toilet, aka committing a hemorrhoidian slip, aka boarding the pulmonary embolism express.
He's fine. Got 'em all out. Every last piece.
Another open-ended Rick and Morty ending. I'm dubbing these Kotex closings because the writers know they might want to pull stuff from the episode out again later, so they make sure to always leave a hanging thread.
Oh my god, I cannot f***ing believe this! Here we f***ing go!
Pretty sure we've landed on the actual title of my sex tape. Something, 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 turkey callback, something, something, Rick's pixelated. Improv, the rest is how I guess this scene was written. Also, Rick's turkey feathers fall out, and I can't help but wonder what part of his human body is forever transmuted, laying forgotten on the cold concrete of the back porch.
I heard you smack the glass, Dad.
She knows the sound of turkey smacking glass? That is oddly specific and highly suspicious.
Rick, put some pants on. Today has so few rules.
Jerry doesn't acknowledge that wearing pants inside the home is a courtesy we afford to our loved ones and not an obligation or requirement under the law. Also, if there are too few rules, then perhaps there should be more rules. For example, one must wear clothing before entering the dining room. Be specific if you don't want to see Rick's dangle doodles. You know he's a nudist.
Ding, ding, ding.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You have to be careful with that sacred word. You just can't go around sinning yourself like that. You reference your own sins enough as it is. Leave some fun for us.
Can we please have a normal Thanksgiving?
Does Beth actually think anything normal is possible with her family? And what does normal even mean anyway? I will never miss an opportunity to send the Thanksgiving Jell-O mold. Rest in peace, Auntie Grace. You are missed, but your Jell-O abominations with a side of f***ing horseradish sauce are not. Holding your glass like this. I mean, animating your character to hold a glass like this. Move the thumb laterally for balance to avoid the glass accidentally flipping out of the grip.
Oh, I got this.
Adjusting someone's body without their explicit verbal and written consent along with signed approval from a f***ing doctor.
I got just the thing for that. Here.
Inserting a foreign object into a body without their explicit verbal and written consent along with a signed approval from a f***ing doctor. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen the backward motion of the tongues of the characters in this show. Whenever I think about the anatomy of it, I start to try to do why talk about conversation 300 times more plenty.
Bro, tell your son you love the shit out of him.
Oh, I'm gonna.
This is touching in a weird way, and I don't like it when I'm touched in a weird way.
We do share a shitty back.
You don't, though. You share a point in time with specifically replicated DNA, but then both Beths have individual opportunities to find a way to heal their backs.
It's very realistic.
Is it? There's not another terminal adjacent to the one TubeSteak is paying for. In a real world scenario, I just walk around it. I mean, TubeSteak would avoid paying and just walk around it. I'd pay for sure.
Floppy dropulites have less taste buds than humans. Their ice cream is like a hospital bed. It's designed for you to do less so it does more.
Wouldn't this mean their tongues are less sensitive and require more flavor to elicit the same effect? And yes, that would mean the food is doing more, but unlike hospital food or its beds, the flavor would be overwhelming.
You have your own space station?
But you said earlier,
I'll sleep in my car. It's got a TARDIS thing going on bigger on the inside.
an admission that renders a space station pointless and redundant.
We're the same person.
They are not.
I want you back in my guts like I'm one of your sick little fillies.
Is actually something that Beth said to herself that I now must consider when thinking of this episode later.
Yeah, and if he kills himself, we're gonna have to get a new dad.
Assuming Jerry is a dad.
This species of bionic space whale has carbon wiring.
Show forgets that we were dismissing most of the things of the show because of portal travel. It doesn't bother explaining how or why Rick has a space whale prepped and ready to go on the operating table just in case.
I'm not killing it, for the record.
Carry on with your shocking space species shenanigans, sir, but perhaps install some sort of grate in the floor for goop cleanup? I mean, we know there is a hatch down there somewhere, but mopping up victims' gore must be exhausting. I want to watch the dissection of this telepathic bionic whale, but instead I'm wondering where this wayward cord is going and why it's not plugged into the outlet properly. Oh, good. They remembered to animate the plug. I just had to wait 10 more seconds during the bionic birth scene.
I'm just saying, lies pile up, like credit card debt. You retain an advantage by staying liquid.
Rick doesn't have this live your truth sign hanging next to the live, love, laugh one in his knitting den. But also, solid financial advice. The single most important part of this scene happens off screen. I'm sure it involves some fanciful tech, but to flaunt the achievement of a perfect snow angel with no footprints leading to or from without sharing such knowledge is an affront to the laws of God and men.
Are we in love with ourselves? I mean, does that make us the most or the least healthy woman in the universe?
This is a wild hypothetical, and I'm happy it's being explored. But it also feels like a fanboy's fantasy being exploited on a dark website swimming through the adultness of the internet that I should not be exploring. My boner is so confused right now, making us believe that Jerry could complete a puzzle in a few hours, let alone one night or a week.
Holy shit, you did a full San Junipero in here?
If they could pull a full San Junipero and Rick Sutton holodeck, then why does Rick even need to go to Blitz and Chits to play Roy? For the next several seconds, the children pile ice cream into their mouths like crazy people, and neither of them get an ice cream headache or make a dent in their bowls. I'm hyper-focused on it because of the awkward sex chat between mom and dad and mom, so at least give me more details to distract me. Not ironing down the letter on your jacket. Show just pulled one of the weirdest, funniest, and most unexpected Jerry moments completely out of its ass and reminded us why we love this show in the process. These tattoos could win on Ink Master, and I can't send that. But I can send having an ass this shiny.
It's a cool power to have, like if you have to fly coach or if Summer asks you what you thought of Wonder Woman 1984.
Thinking that Summer would not only watch Wonder Woman 1984, but then also ask her potato of a dad for his opinion. This entire sequence reminds me of my hatred of the word forest. I was once told that if I was confused about how to spell desert versus dessert, that the extra S in dessert was like an extra helping of sweet, yummy goodness. And that helped me. But you can't use that same logic for forest versus forest, so you would think that the extra R would mean lots more trees, so add the extra R in a word defining a place with a ton of f***ing trees. But that is incorrect. So the sin, as always, is the English language.
Oh God, well, what happens in the shadows?
Considering they follow this up with
Vampires? Oh, come on, that's not realistic.
I'm guessing the writers know exactly what they do in the shadows. I see you.
Plot twist, Deus Ex Husbanda.
What is happening? F***ing Rick and Morty taking another one of my favorite sins? Are the writers trolling me? All right, we've got to find out. Writers, if you are watching and you're taking my sins away like some sort of entertainment Jesus, I pray demand you show me your power by correcting the greatest sin on your show, the f***ing bowl of fruit. Whilst thou move the fruit from the bottomest shelf to the toppest of the table is a sign that you are real. And because relationships like this are highly transactional, I promise if I see that bowl move, I will know it's a miracle and give all of the sins back. Sin men. Having many of the same shirt in the same color.
Well, hold on. This is weird.
Weird and permitted.
This weird permitted versus not permitted assessment goes on for all the uncomfortable twincesty amounts of Jerry being aroused times. They are still eating off the bird for dinner? Man, you pick it clean for meat for easy snacking later and chuck the bones in the bin. There is no reason to shove a carcass into the fridge and take up all that precious space. Probably the most sinful part of this Thanksgiving dinner is the family can hear the threesome upstairs at all. Beth and Jerry's bedroom is here, and the dinner is here, so the sound of their conversation is pressing through the barely overlapped section of their room in the entryway and wafting into the dining room to be heard perfectly. Disrespecting the garbage disposal.
Sometimes we have Jerry's come here and try to touch other Jerry's.
Jerry's touching Jerry's. Reading. But also, I feel like the show knew exactly what it was doing pulling this obscure quote, and I will not thank it for turning me onto the second sympathetic cannibal story I've been subjected to this year. Strange. Usually my dreams, the cream, are the opposite of a nightmare. They actually turn out quite pleasant. Using Snoozy as your app's brand name when I'm Getting Sheepy was right there for the taking. Rick clearly went to the Michael Myers School of Sit-Ups, and no amount of rock-hard abs will fix that kind of lower back trauma. Jerry appears to serve everyone from a batch of pre-buttered pancakes, but why does Summers appear to be un-pre-buttered? Did Jerry only pre-butter the ones beneath Summers? Why?
What's this, pancakes? Sold.
Also, those pancakes have had syrup sitting on them for who knows how long. You never syrup another man's pancakes without their permission, guys. Rick should not be sold on this. Not at all. Also, Jerry's decided to serve up Rick's pancakes even though he hasn't arrived yet, while Summer is presumably just sitting there watching everyone eat. This is exactly why no one wants you around, Jerry. Also the third. Where even is the syrup? There doesn't seem to be any on the table, so did Jerry pre-syrup the first batch? If so, why is this second batch of pancakes only pre-buttered and not pre-syruped? And where did Summer's unpre-syruped and unpre-buttered pancakes come from? That's it, I'm setting up a separate sin counter for this show, specifically for breakfast sins.
Best investment I've ever made.
This family of sociopaths didn't even flinch at a glass of orange juice being spilled all over the table. When this happens in my house, the resulting reaction invariably causes more damage than the initial spilling.
No, go on. Say it.
Say what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Kids.
You can poke all the fingers I got if I get abs like Rick.
I'm just going to assume that this gadget is doing some internal switcheroo that means it isn't poking everyone with the same quickly diseased needle, but I will be sending the show for not confirming that assumption. Judging by the brown edges here, these eggs are getting close to being overcooked and yet more Morty butter is being added, suggesting the egg cooking is not complete? Why does this show hate me?
I also like Tori Amos.
Reading the words I like Tori Amos in a condescending manner. You take that back, Summer. You cornflake girl.
Who wants cake?
Answering a question with a trumpet. How the hell does this discount severancing even work? Their bodies are still getting up at night and performing many tasks, so how would everyone not wake up sore and tired from the previous night's activities? All I'm saying is that if a fancy machine is causing me to wake up satisfied yet sore, I want to remember it. Also, why would he be doing laundry in the dark? You wouldn't be able to separate out the colors darks and whites as well. If anyone ends up with red clothes that were previously white, they have no one to blame but themselves.
Pow, 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 pow.
Pow.
No notes.
Well, Rick, I do have notes. Like, why is the power cord madness extended to the garage door? Why is it plugged all the way into the bottomest outlet, causing whatever this plug leads to overstretching itself into an unnecessarily higher position? Nope, not gonna let that one slide even if it is a joke. You cannot be over 100% indestructible. Unless, of course, any attempt at destruction actually resulted in an increase of indestructibility by 10% or an increase of mass by 10%. As a result of this misbranding, you will see a roughly 10% increase in sins.
Seems like you spent an awful lot of energy just to not give the Knight family what they want.
Jerry would be no notes at TV sins.
Why won't you rinse your dishes?
Counter question, why are your eyeballs glowing like you have a 1,000-watt bulb inserted into your ear cavities? Once again, we do not need to see anyone puking ever. I don't care if it's animated. We don't need to see it. Stop showing it.
What the f***'s your problem with me?
Not already knowing the answer to this question after just bursting into your granddaughter's room without permission while she's sleeping. Rick's lucky he wasn't greeted with a high-velocity radio alarm clock to the jaw, or whatever it is that teenagers sleep through nowadays.
Did you have to make mushy garbage science on the living room carpet?
If this has been pulled from the garbage, I'm very confused. Putting aside the fact that an entire box of eggs has been thrown away, what even happened to them? Did a wild fox just very politely nibble on the top half of these, knowing that Rick would need them for some wild eggs machina? Either way, I'm still counting this as a breakfast sin.
Aren't they going to be suspicious seeing Night Summer covered in all this Terry Gilliam?
2 episodes ago, Summer said she didn't know anything about Die Hard, but we're supposed to believe now that she has enough knowledge of Terry Gilliam to make this kind of reference?
You were souping up that somnambule whatever so they could extend its range beyond the house.
I'm guessing the plan here is global daemonation by creating an army of night people. But if it currently only covers the house and Night Rick has only managed to extend the range by 169%, nice, then that's really only going to cover the neighboring house and maybe 70% of the next one at most. I really don't think Day Rick needs to be worrying at this point.
Sorry, Rick, but your opinion means very little to me.
Wait, how did Night Summer manage to fake being regular Summer? Are the veiny eyeballs and husky speech just a choice? How the hell is she just switching that shit on and off?
Halt, demonoids!
Everyone get behind my app!
This f***ing show, man. Okay, somebody really needs to dial in the dosage on these darts. It should not take this many darts unless the dosage is homeopathic or the end goal is a f***ing coma.
I'm a friend of your son-in-law.
Expecting us to believe that Jerry would be able to make a friend. Yep, that joke's exactly as mean as you think it is. Rick just had to slap Night Jerry to get him to turn back to Day Jerry, but Night Summer flies several feet and lands in these boxes without reverting back to Day Summer? That is some nighttime/daytime bullshit. I know this is a fun visual gag, but what maniac is selling cardboard boxes in the middle of the night that are fully assembled? Fully assembled! Who buys cardboard boxes fully assembled?
Phew, almost didn't make it.
Choosing to peel through metal instead of, oh, I don't know, shooting through the already smashed window. The Day and Night families survive this.
Let's go home, right, Grandpa?
Great idea, Summer.
Rolling the credits here makes it seem as if the show wants this to feel like the end of Rick and Morty as we know it. What's weird is that the post-credit scene is super long and undoes all of that, which kind of just makes it a scene, and now I feel like I've been tricked into hanging around for the credits, which I didn't pay attention to anyway because it was so obvious that the story wasn't over yet. So the bottom line for me is that if you want to make a big swing with your TV show, start by getting breakfast right first.
Normally, this would have been dealt with by our daemonoid oppressors.
The Night family scheme falls apart because they apparently aren't smart enough to keep their jobs, budget their finances, or do laundry, which is beyond baffling considering this isn't nearly as complicated as half of the shit that they were being asked to do in the first place. Wasn't the whole point that they get the mundane shit done so the Day family can be the mindless zombies?
How long have we been asleep?
It can't be that long. Oh my god. No! They killed the Choco Taco!
Time to update my weekly list of crazy shit I have to say because of Rick and Morty, with using a sweet flavored taco as a unit of time measurement.
Now that was some fantastic chow mein. And before you say that sounded racist, you can ask the waiter how they say it.
Having to explain yourself this much to prove you're not a racist. Also having a family dinner at Panda Express. Sometimes I look at the background of a scene and just glaze over for a few seconds, which is what I was doing while looking at these slip-on shoes, which are suddenly obscured by the appearance of a footstool bar that wasn't animated in the previous frames. The kids seem disappointed that Rick won't play along with teasing Jerry, but how would Rick having robot arms extend from his body not be something interesting for the kids of TikTok to enjoy? Film that shit and get those views. Views are all that matters, baby!
You know, fortune cookies only come true if you eat the cookie first.
Eating your fortune cookie while you still have this much of your entree left on the plate. Also, is that a glass plate? And are they getting served at the table? Episode doesn't know how to Panda Express correctly.
Family time is time well spent. Okay, that's not only empty, it's been disproven.
Beth would be excellent at fortune cookie sins.
You will have sex with your mother.
In bed. Wait, no, I was just going to add the infamous in-bed gag to someone's fortune. I didn't realize this would be a sex with your mom episode. I was set up by the Rick and Morty writers and you know it. Also, sure, right, it's not an ideal thing to get in a fortune cookie and certainly shocking, but Jerry is speaking at the same volume as when he talked about getting the shits from the zoo earlier and no one in the restaurant reacted to that. Over 4 episodes into the 6th season and we still haven't gotten the Sherlock Holmes episode this scene promises. I am very bothered by the very far from center buttons on Jerry's pajamas.
Jerry, are you seriously asking if I think you're going to have sex with your mom?
He is, and I really hate that this cliffhanger of a question is actually intriguing me. This is the Who Shot JR of Rick and Morty incest cliffhangers, and unfortunately making cliffhangers plural was not an accident on my part.
Sleepy Gary wasn't real.
Neither are fortune cookies.
I mean, the fortunes in the cookies might not be real, but fortune cookies are indeed real. You can hold them, you can eat them, you can stick your...
Well, yeah, then you should definitely hit that.
Morty raises his arm for a high five before his punchline is delivered, and Summer proactively preps for the high five without knowing if the joke would even be good enough. And now we know that Jerry's familiar with tucking, so he either has no pubic hair or is able to shave very quickly. All things I did not need to know about Jerry. Also, walking into your parents' room at any time without knocking. Even if she's trying to catch her dad doing something embarrassing, this is still a horrible risk. Rick walks this way with a towel over his shoulder, then this way with 3 rolled towels a second later. And here he comes by with another set of folded towels. You know he's not doing house chores. Now all I care about is what 7 moisture-absorbing pieces of fabric could possibly be needed for.
Okay, I'm just as likely to shit a balloon as I am to become a dolphin.
Things overheard at the D&D table while reviewing the chaos table calculations somehow make their way into the script. Why is this person holding a tray of food as if they're going on a lunch break when the store's closed and currently under attack?
I'm gonna take the truck in exchange for not turning you in.
I'm gonna sit in the convenience of the fortune cookie truck that just happens to be in the back.
And now we're being retina scanned?
Maybe somebody knows the answer to this, but I don't. So I'm sitting why Jerry would need to have his eyes closed for the retina scan, but Rick would not.
You can't crack a smile? Oh, yeah, you're worried about doing it with your mom. Okay, fair enough.
It sure is nice for the company to showcase torture in the adjacent conference room. You know, to be sure that our infiltrating duo can see the positive and negative impacts of the cookies without having to walk more than a few feet.
Use the emergency fortunes. You'll have great success in a fight.
The cookie designed for an emergency is fight-related? What if the emergency had been a fire? If the security guard fought the fire with water, would that have fulfilled the wish? And if the wishes can be fulfilled by a more vague approach, couldn't Jerry's wish be completed with a game of poker that ends with Jerry tossing the table and exclaiming, "You f me, Mom"?
Hate crawling through a fucking air vent.
Maybe try going forward through the air vents? That makes it much, much easier. Why is the creepy alien handler touching the wish list with bare skin and also using this grabber thing as if it's important to not touch the paper with his fingers? I'm just trying to make sense of something simple that I can understand while the episode derails into portals and alien poop, which I do not understand.
Fortune cookies are alien poop.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would buy this on a shirt, and I'm sure that is a sin.
Does the alien want that? It's not exactly what I'd call a sentient species.
A man knows.
So let me get this straight. This guy wants to f*** an alien the proper way, so he creates a your mom cookie in hopes that someone will come and investigate a highly secure evil corporation and accidentally their way to the secret area to discover the exploitation of an alien creature, which would trigger an empathetic response and encourage them to free the alien and the dirty man, allowing them to f*** in harmony forever?
Your friends picked me up in a limousine.
Being so impressed with the luxury of the car that picks you up from the airport that you're able to ignore the multiple semi-automatic weapons pointed at your back. For someone striving to be the most successful businesswoman in the world, this company sure is leaving a lot of profit on the floor. Literally.
Come on and f*** already.
At this point, I'm pretty sure Rick and Morty's simply trying to title my sex tape. But I'm not that easy. Actually, yes, I am.
I just used a dark web account to hack Goldman Sachs, remove trillions of dollars, and purchase everything your company offers. Congratulations, you're officially the most successful businesswoman on Earth.
See, this is why I strongly suggest defining what success means to you before you start on a project. In this case, Rick's sudden definition of success fulfills the cookie's prophecy rather than her version of success. Totally avoidable.
I see that I've romanticized a wild animal, the same way Margaret Howe did when she jerked off that dolphin in the 1960s.
I mean, there's no way that actually happened. Oh, for the love of why are there pictures? So this guy's guts get sucked out of his body, but Rick's guts aren't sucked out of his ass. And I guess I just don't understand how much of Rick is robot or human and how that impacts his immortality. It's a super good thing that Rick packed the nano laser printer in his arm cannon this morning and thought ahead to build the cookie ammunition chambers in the first place. What a champ. We should all strive to be more like Rick.
God damn it.
I think God has indeed damned this show. Damned it straight to hell, where we TV Sins freaks are prodding it with our dingy pitchforks and having a blast. Thank you, God, for sending it to us. Jerry's mother is held in a gynecological exam position by her right ankle alone, and her left leg isn't being sucked backward. She should have a broken pelvis.
And in Weird Things in Space News,
starting your episode off with blatant self-referential news positional repiping. Bold move, Rick and Morty. A bold move indeed.
Oh, what's it now?
I mean, if you're forcing me to send something in this thing, that flag's annoying me because there's no way there's room for the star section in that little part that's off the screen. This is just red and white stripes all the way to the pole, and you know it.
What did you do, you tiny monster?
Morty didn't do anything, but I'm still going to issue a sin for the convenient timing of the dinosaur aliens showing up right as the teacher was accusing Morty of always bringing terrible shit like this down on the school. You know how we feel about that in these quarters. Starting your episode off with blatant self-referential news positional repiping twice in the first 2 minutes. Bold move, Rick and Morty. A bold move indeed.
If these aliens want Earth, they'll have to go through Egypt. And they can ask mummies how that goes.
But are we talking about the Boris Karloff mummy, the Brendan Fraser mummy, or the Tom Cruise mummy? I mean, we could also be talking about the Cushing Lee mummy, or the Jason Scott Lee mummy, or even the Abbott and Costello mummy, which is also basically the Boris Karloff mummy, but more of a funny mummy. And then there's the Waxwork mummy, not to mention the Charlton Heston mummy, which if it wasn't for Scream Factory, we'd all forgotten about and been better for it. In the end, there are just too many f***ing mummies to wrap my head around this statement, and I think I might cry. I want my mummy.
Monkeys went bald?
Hilarious. But in what world do you know enough to know monkeys existed, but not enough to know about the development of Homo sapiens? How did these dinosaurs even get in the UN building? Did they install a dino door? Pretty considerate of this long neck to hold their head like this when the imaginary camera's on a close-up and then extend their neck completely for the wide shots. The imaginary cinematographer thanks you.
But surely there was some point between gunpowder and something called Amazon Prime.
We don't know what Amazon Prime really is either. We just know that $130 or so disappears from our checking account every year, and that allows us to then send more money to an invisible entity that often sends something in return that we didn't even ask for. Every fridge full, but why? In a post-scarcity society like this, not only would you never have to stock up on stuff, you'd never have to cook at home either. I mean, you could if that's your thing, but I'm guessing most fridges would just sit mostly unused while everyone picked up free Five Guys. I can see the headline is unemployment at 100%, but someone had to write this article, someone had to print it, and someone had to distribute it. So how exactly is no one working currently? Somehow pre-filling in only the M's on several lines of your crossword puzzle.
I do think it's kind of funny that you're all basically Jerry now.
Rick, per usual, would be the Rickest at TV Sins. Show teases us with pandas falling in a snake-wearing miniskirt and doesn't follow through on either, forcing us to come through in the clutch. You're welcome.
Does anyone know how to mail things to publishers?
Not to keep making this my hill to die on, but even if they did, who would be able to publish the book? Who would even pick up the mail? Sure, maybe it's technology of some sort, but I don't see any cool robot butlers, so I'm calling shenanigans. The only thing that could make the name of this restaurant more wonderful is if Beau Bridges was the one inside cooking the food. And since that's not the case, here's a sin.
At first, it was fun spending all day watching whatever YouTube autoplays after the last one autoplayed.
Insinuating it ever gets tiring letting YouTube videos autoplay. Give in to the algorithm. The algorithm loves you. The algorithm is your friend.
How often are you Westworlding me?
Calling it Westworlding instead of Dr. Goldfoot and the bikini machining. There's an order to these things.
If you get rid of the dinosaurs, you can host the Oscars.
In a situation where one has all the leverage and said person chooses their reward to be the most thankless job on the entire planet. over candling around flammable flora.
The gateways are see-through, not a green swirl, so now you can see where you're going.
I like these Dino Lords. Can they also help me understand how the portal automatically knows where you want to go? I mean, if you're fixing our portal sins, we might as well go ahead and fix them all.
They're gonna call us Laura Dern because we're about to get elbow deep in dino doo-doo.
Yeah, let's not reference the parts where Laura Dern wards off a T-Rex and velociraptors to save kids. Let's just talk about her reaching into some which, for the record, she's doing in an attempt to save a dinosaur's life. You put some respect on Laura Dern's name, Rick.
I said clever girl earlier. You didn't even react.
Complaining that a reference you are also explaining wasn't given its due in the past. What are you, a Cylon or something?
Yeah, we figured they used to hold huge outdoor concerts in their land amphitheater.
Maybe this is a silly theory, but the singing skull feed is way more interesting than our boring old dinosaur stories. Also, just making sure everyone caught that Cylon reference a few seconds ago. That's from Battlestar Galactica, and while I can't watch you watch this video, I could feel there was very little laughter, so I'm just bringing it up here again for no reason at all.
The Majestic Basketsaur! Aren't they incredible? We're even making a series of increasingly terrible movies about cloning them in a theme park.
Can't be worse than Jurassic World Dominion, so please feel free to bring the Basketsaur franchise to Earth. Also, increasingly terrible? Show wants us to laugh, but honestly, Jurassic World was better than both 2 and 3, and to pretend otherwise on any planet strains credulity. Please. What fossils were wheel-shaped? What fossils, I say? It appears that the Rick and Morty animators are using the repeating faceless crowd models again, which, fine, do what you gotta do, but this guy bugs me. Why is his head so big? Why is it all skin tone when others have distinct hair colors? Why is he looking up to the sky as if ready to ascend to the rapture?
This one is headed directly towards us. And all of our work? It was for—
How are these ultra-evolved creatures with their godlike knowledge and wisdom unaware that they have an arch nemesis? You know everything there is to know in the universe, except that you're being hunted by evil sentient space rocks? Using a perfectly beautiful slice of pepperoni pizza as a hate projectile. It's pizza, and it's delicious, and it contains every single food group, you yum-chucking waste monsters.
And you had no idea about the disastrous meteors that followed in your wake.
Deciding to let Anderson Cooper interview you to tell your side of the story. Also, do the dinosaurs not watch movies? Because if they watched Armageddon, they'd save some time. There's a formula to it. A very simple formula.
I mean, no one knows if the meteor species is even real.
Deciding to let Joe Rogan interview you to tell your side of the story. This guy created a Dinosaur Avenue sign and is replacing a current street sign just so he can graffiti the word sucks onto it. Game recognized game.
Wilson!
Why does Tom Hanks yelling Wilson all of a sudden sound like Dave Seville yelling at Alvin? What even is this nonsense? Rick has a gizmo that lets him see whatever he needs to see, even though he clearly didn't type in any commands or coordinates. Cliché.
Oscars are over.
Something every single person except the Academy has known for about 10 years now somehow makes it into the episode.
Elon Musk be damned. We're blowing up Mars.
Thinking you need a reason to damn Elon Musk.
We're doing something selfless.
Are you though? There's no way calculations could have been done to guarantee the safety of Earth when Mars blows up into thousands, if not millions of pieces. There is so much that could go wrong here. Somewhere in Tasmania, a devil silently weeps at the cruel theft of his native tongue.
Can we turn on the AC? It's like 1,000 degrees outside.
It is not. Or kids, take your pick.
Hoo-ha! Check it out.
Rick and Morty writers last a full 5 episodes without their portal gun crutch before giving up.
A dimension where hats wear people.
Fun, but why do the hats also have the same body construction as people? Those aren't really hats then, are they? They're hat people. So technically, it's a dimension where hat people wear people is people hats. Huh, that felt good. I've missed you, Portal Gun. I've missed you so much.
Here we go! Rick and Morty time!
He says, directly before announcing the final 4 episodes of the season are on surprise hiatus.
Previously on Rick and Morty.
Previously on before Rick and Morty committed the cardinal TV sin of having a previously on in their episode. I really don't know where to go with this because let me tell you, Rick and Morty thinks they've created the most TV sins proof episode yet, and I think they may be right. They may defeat me, but I guess I could just start sinning myself for liking raccoons more than dogs or preferring eggs over pizza. Things are going to get really weird over here for the next few minutes, so I guess I'll just leave you with
potato salad.
Jerry, I had sex with your wife.
Not realizing Jerry would probably be less mad about this and more turned on by it. Or maybe I'm just projecting my own fetishes onto this scenario, because what I've always found useful is working out your demons with episodes of Rick and Morty. At least that's what Carl told me. Who's Carl, you might ask? I'm just getting to know him, but if it helps, he does live in my left pinky.
I did it! I fixed portal travel!
Show reminds me of its lack of commitment to a portalless existence.
I'm pregnant.
Having the cake on the table with the candles lit before you finish the primary meal. Also, positioning the cake closer to the camera than the birthday person.
It's raining meatballs!
And you'd think I'd do a simple quick sin here, like cloudy with a chance of Rick and Morty, but since I don't give a shit about what you think, I'm just gonna sin the fact that I've never once seen a pickup basketball game in this driveway, and that basketball goal honestly looks like it's never been used. And for the record, I do care what you think. I care oh so much. Please don't hate me.
Thanks for solving that murder, guys. Here's a skateboard.
Thinking that solving a murder is anywhere near as impressive as doing a kickflip.
Morty, say you'll marry me. What? Just say yes.
Being forced into marrying her grandfather is a meta plot point, or really just at all.
I do, and for our honeymoon, let's go to a sealed chamber lined with ionized deuterium.
Why?
Because the charge acts as a narrative decelerant. Morty, none of this is real.
If nothing here is real, then how would an isotope have an observable effect on the fake matter in your fake reality? Unless just saying it does the thing means it does the thing. But that would mean that name-dropping ionized Deuteronomy was an extra step, and Rick could have just said, let's go to a sealed chamber lined with a narrative decelerant.
Now repeat after me, Morty. Next time on Rick and Morty.
Next time on Rick and Morty?
No, previously on Rick and Morty.
Preemptive narration to counteract the subsequent narration leads to my narration sending your narration.
We gotta get through the opening titles!
Oh, f me. I didn't want to have to do this. But if the Rick and Morty writers are going to kick down the walls of their reality and attempt to make this episode unsinnable, I really have no choice but to prove to Meta Sinverse that no episode is truly without sin. Even if that involves sinning myself.
I am alive!
No need to be so melodramatic.
Sorry, decreasing dramatization by 5%.
Better make it 15.
F you.
Perfect! Now, you just keep sending the video like that, and I think we might just get through this. Cinny, activate the sin transfer array.
Well, also you adding a sin just because you didn't like something is not really an issue with the show.
Magnificent! Let's go!
Oh my god, it's a giant squirrel!
Pretty sure that's a sugar glider and not a squirrel. And I understand most people don't know what a sugar glider is, but then just make it look like a f***ing squirrel. How hard could that be?
Don't succumb to his pointless self-aware bullshit.
Says the king of pointless self-aware bullshit. And that may be the point, but do you know what I have to say to that?
Potato salad! He wriggled back to the meta layer through a hole in the fourth wall.
Some meta antics aside, adding a convenient meta layer to your story to essentially unmeta the meta story you've created, and acting like the encroachment on my territory would go unchallenged.
Bro, you literally just did the same thing.
Just because you have a sign that says Chekhov's guns doesn't mean that we can't sin Chekhov's guns. Because if we don't sin Chekhov's guns, then the sin doesn't come into play and it becomes Chekhov's sins, which doesn't even make sense because who's to say where and when a sin can have action? In the end, maybe it's just Chekhov's Rick and Morty, and maybe that's the point, and maybe nothing means anything, and I mean nothing, and am I even really here? All you hear is a voice that could be coming from a computer, a simulation, or a ghost. All of this to say, I want to sin Chekhov's guns because they are my guns to sin, damn it, and you're not my mother. That being said, I'd also like to thank the writers for their sin assist with these metaphorically literal representations of narrative concepts. My job is much easier when you lay them out like this.
I mean, it's funny when I do a little nod to the viewers, but...
What viewers?
Morty would be the most meta thing to ever meta at Metasins. And if Rick and Morty continues down this path, we might just create that channel to f with them personally.
None of this season 3 moonlighting shit.
Talking about season 3 of moonlighting when we all know that season 5 was the real problem. F you, a womb with a view. I'll never get that hour of my life back. Also, nothing the kids like these days more than moonlighting jokes. Although, we just made a moonlighting joke, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
Damn it!
He needs to be put down like a rabid dog.
Literally breaking the fourth wall. Running in the opposite direction of Trials. Honestly don't know if that's good or a bad thing, but I've got a job to do, and just like this episode appears to be doing out of pure desperation, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at the wall and hoping a few things stick.
Is this whole place just a bunch of groan-inducing wordplay for 7 TV critics that won't even enjoy it?
We're not critics. It's a comedy channel. A comedy channel. Also, thinking wordplay is more groan-inducing than Wordle, and that I don't enjoy both.
The narrator thinks the writers of this show would honor him with such a reference, even though the critical value of his commentary is as questionable as his Wordle skills. And there aren't 7 Sins writers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Jeremy makes 7. Holy shit!
Every second we spend here is the equivalent to 10 Space Jam cameos.
Sinning your own appearance in a terrible movie does not exclude us from sinning your appearance in that terrible movie. And just in case our dad's sin channel didn't sin you the first time around, we're giving you 2 here.
I'm here, Leon.
This Deus Ex Machina riding in on Leon's prayers like some kind of literal literary Jesus cannot absolve you of your TV sins.
I love a good refusal of the call.
Hey, Storylord's back! And now I'm gonna sin myself for remembering who the f*** Storylord is. But how could I not? This episode is a sequel to the first episode I ever appeared in the video as your narrator. And 3 years later, I still get asked where the f the other guy went and when will he be back, and it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt at all. Not a bit.
The narrator thinks that just because he's taking the guardrails off the ride, he can add sins wherever he pleases. Stay in your lane.
Also, it's not like just because this is a sequel to the episode where I appeared out of thin air to start narrating that we'd go back to the original narrator for this video.
Nope, I'm out. It's all you, buddy. You think I want to deal with this shit? Plus, you've been killing it as the narrator. In fact, you're so universally beloved and supremely talented, I'm wondering if you should narrate CinemaSins? We have to stop letting narrators write their own scripts.
Oh God, not the Bane, not the Bane!
Sorry to keep interrupting, but I do need to mention that a shout out like this used to remind me of the glorious hours I spent reading the Nightfall storyline in the Batman comics. And now it just reminds me of that f***ing Dark Knight Rises movie that for some goddamn reason, a lot of you are still trying to tell yourself is a good movie, and it really pisses me right the f*** off. Sorry, carry on.
I'm the Jesus from every Jesus joke.
Which reminds me, have you heard this one? Who's the shortest man in the Bible? Give up? It's Nehemiah. You get it? Nehemiah. You'd all be laughing if Svengoolie was telling that joke. F***ing Svengoolie.
Previously on Jesus Christ.
This narration into flashback's position is an automatic sensation.
Now that's groan-inducing wordplay.
Dude, she's a hooker.
The entire second season script of White Lotus somehow makes it into the episode. Look, guys, I can believe in Jesus or the Loch Ness Monster, but not both. Unless they're partners on the force who initially hate working with each other, but then learn to mutually respect one another by the end of their first murder case.
Make me normal, witch.
This pantsless Jesus is 5 seasons late to the Rixie Business episode.
Leon, you saved our lives!
Not only did he save your lives, but he saved your lives by killing Jesus. Is there a bigger sin than killing Jesus? How many sins should I give? Oh, of course.
Meta, Morty, his life doesn't matter. Yours does.
Rick staring into the camera there is by far the most unsubtle fourth wall break I've ever seen this series do. But it manages to feel more meaningful than all the others because it's delivered with a sincerity that Rick usually comes across as incapable of. I'm not going to claim to completely understand it, but the writers took care not to bury this message in a joke, and telling people they have value is a message I'd like to help amplify as well.
The narrator was being a bit of a monologuist there, but I agree with the sentiment, so I'll take a sin off as well.
You want to know what happened? Like, specifically?
Writers write a writer delivering exposition about the writer's written writing.
That was just some nonsense to see how many times you could put a variation of the word right into a sentence.
Oh, okay, here's your motivation. You're looking for motivation. You want all the motivation.
Writers make fun of the character motivation they dreamed up because hating your own ideas is the 20s versions of hating anything your parents thought was cool.
The narrator delivers a sin that's super argumentative because he doesn't really know what motivated the writers to write the motivation motive.
They're meta nerds that found out they could be less bearable as a team.
TV Sin staff.
Anti-meta field.
Show has Rick create a thing using techno-magic, thereby creating a contradictory world that somehow has enough rules to make science feasible and enough creative license to make literally anything else feasible.
Don't try it, Flashback.
Come on, Flash Baxter was right there.
It runs on hydrogen isotopes.
A few barrels of petroleum should dampen it.
Run, Morty!
Show is now doing whatever it wants without regard for anything, and somehow the plot still makes sense. So I should probably remove a sin, but instead I'm adding one.
Narrator should get a sin for adding sins when he should be removing them. But I'm obliged to take sides in this sin as part of some broader narrative that will be explained at some point, maybe.
Were those not there before? Guess there's been a continuity error.
Acting as if continuity errors are a part of storytelling. May as well include Typo Mary and Karma Splice. But the way Rick and Morty's bodies and clothes heal, they may have a point.
That's Protago Nick. His beam has the power to make any character the protagonist. Duck!
Why would Rick tell Morty to duck? They're already the protagonists of this story. And since Rick knows he's in a TV show, shouldn't he know that? And knowing that, shouldn't Protago Nick's powers be useless against Rick and Morty? Come on! Protag Ernest was right there. Vignetting in a wacky episode like this as if we're about to finally get the interdimensional streaming episode we've been waiting for.
No one's been waiting for this, because no one ever knows when Rick and Morty episodes will be available for streaming.
They really went all in on Nessie and these different continuities, didn't they? Nessie's quickly becoming the David S. Pumpkins of Rick and Morty, or at least we can hope. Or do we not want that to happen? Can we flash back to what I was saying the other day? I swear to the God of all mythical creatures, if they ever start inserting the Loch Ness Monster randomly into Rick and Morty episodes, I will shave off all my bald hair and finally take up cross-stitching. Damn it.
They got him in a cell made out of sports because it's the opposite of story.
Tell that to the producers of Drive to Survive.
But his name is Brett Kahn. I think Brett's a name too. His name could be Rhett Kahn.
Naming a character Brett Kahn for no other reason than getting in your retcon joke. And just so you know, if you named him Rhett Kahn to begin with, I would have sinned you for not naming him Brett Kahn. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to TV Sins.
Narrator does an I've painted the show into a corner just to deliver my welcome to TV Sins cliche.
What is my purpose?
To wait until I tell you to pull the lever.
Retconning Butter Robot to have never passed the butter. You monster.
Explaining the show's callbacks because you think it will make people like you.
Also, that one hurt.
Quiet you, I'm in control now.
If you don't free me right now, Rick, I can make very, very bad things. Always have been the case for you.
If Rhett the Hitman Kahn can affect Rick's story while he's in this cage, why would he make very bad things have always been the case, instead of just making Rick have always opened the door?
And this fortress
has always been an orange.
And it has always been in a fruit bowl, which has always been on the top shelf, right? Right? Oh, come on.
The narrator's need for acknowledgement is consuming him.
It hurts!
Show severely underexplains how Rick and Morty got from the orange that just became all of existence to this frozen tundra.
What happened?
You atoned.
Since when is nearly dying in a snowstorm the same as atoning? If that were the case, Buffalo would be the most virtuous place in the world. And it's not. That's where Josh lives. He knows what he did.
The narrator and I would likely have a better grasp of what is going on if we read more books and watched less TV.
I'm Joseph Campbell.
Making me think of Heart of Darkness, even though you're Joseph Campbell, who I often get confused with Joseph Conrad. But regardless, it makes me think of Heart of Darkness, and I hate thinking about Heart of Darkness.
Why is that prick here?
No more a prick than you, friend.
The animated representation of Joseph Campbell would be some asshole on a hero's journey at TV Sins.
TV Sins guy would be excellent at letting other people do his job.
Storing Joseph Campbell in the personification of all that is in the unconscious.
I'm pregnant. What are you doing? It wasn't him, Rick. Then who?
Bearded Rick thinks Joseph Campbell impregnated a bearded Morty, so he tries to drown him in a bucket of water. Improv the rest, is how I imagine this scene was written.
Now, that's just an excuse for you to verbally describe what is happening on screen because for some reason you think it's funny to do so.
I hope this version skips Ember and Dry Blood.
Trying to be creative instead of just saying discount Song of Ice and Fire.
When you get home, Rick, do some classic adventures, like season 1.
I'm so sick of that f***ing note. What the f*** does it even mean?
Of all the fourth wall breaking jokes this show has done, that one is my favorite.
Schadenfreude.
Cubicles.
One of the writers had a job with a cubicle one time, and now they make the same tired joke every time a row of them pops up on screen.
You know what? I've had enough of you.
No, I want to live!
Let's never do that again.
Wait, you have to register?
The real joke isn't that this alien is too unmotivated to register to look at porn. It's that he's going to a site where you have to register for porn. He's bad at porn.
I don't take notes.
Rick and Morty writers constantly reminding us they don't care about feedback while constantly making episodes directly related to said feedback.
Kid, I'm a writer that wrote something successful.
Did you? You wrote a character so shallow that he literally has no motivation, but you did manage to help build a machine capable of sucking motivation from beings all across the universe, so I think you missed your calling there.
You failed me.
Storylord is not only still alive, but still able to talk after being inflicted with a massive head wound, Harry. Look, if you're going to make weird and dated references, Rick and Morty, then I'm going to make weird and dated references. It's my right. And at least I'd never stoop to having Joseph Campbell in my story, mainly because I don't know who Joseph Campbell is.
Joseph Campbell also says you have to use this brand new limited edition Rick plush available only on rick-plush.biz.
Not a real product or website that I had to waste time researching, and that is frankly a terrible URL.
Yeah, I'm Tagman. I live in the tag. I am the tag. I'm Tagman.
Potato salad.
Scene does not contain an adult swimming.
I can't hold them off, Rick!
I love a strong cold open, but would it kill the show to just once begin at the start of an adventure? Just once. I swear linear storytelling is starting to become the new non-linear storytelling, and no one wants that. I think. Get it? He's shelling the beach? But if you designed a weapon to shoot seashells, wouldn't the barrel shape need to be more seashell shaped? I guess what I'm saying is if Sally shoots seashells by the seashore, then she should shoot seashell shaped shooters, I'm sure.
Your fortress is a salty waste of coral and clam.
Disney didn't even attempt to incorporate any of Mr. Nimbus into their version of Namor. Also, I'm sure I wasn't the only one who recognized this guy enough to know that it was a callback, but not enough to remember that it's supposed to be Rick's arch nemesis, without Googling it, of course. This probably means the show is either doing too many callbacks or not calling back to things I care about.
Sorry I had to blow up your bunker.
Close, but the correct answer was, sorry I had to blow up your bunker while you were still fucking inside it and with barely enough time to escape, child of my child.
It is I, Cookie Magneto.
Show plays superhero Mad Libs and disguises it as being clever. This will never stand, at least if, Bocce Ball Kitty Pride has anything to say about it. Okay, fine, it's harder than it seems, but I'm still saying how easy it seems.
I'm sorry, do you control things that people agree are cookies?
And does that mean you have barely any powers in England where they call most of them biscuits? Sorry, just adding my 2 cents to the ever-growing examples of Morty being excellent at TV sins. Being that therapist who has an abstract painting of what is clearly a boob on your wall just so I'll point it out and then you can analyze my maternal issues and make me think I'm the one who's just seeing boobs everywhere. That is a boob, you piece of So, about my mom.
I'm a walking target for a never-ending sea of angry nerds that think getting in a fight with me is some kind of, I don't know, platform.
Is he still looking over here? Shh. Act like you don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, man, about that book of Boba Fett. Yeah, that was rough. Is he still looking at us?
I am Pissmaster, here to flush the toilet. That is Rick Sanchez.
That's your catchphrase? You're in trouble now, mister, was right there. Also, where's all that urine even coming from? He's got enough of a steady stream to create upward propulsion of his machine while still hosing down the house with a separate deluge. I don't care how much prostament he's running through that thing. There's no way he's getting that kind of flow. With these two fighting, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be rooting for the pants-pissing, ugly-faced, whiny guy or Pissmaster. All these people who are videoing this, I'm gonna say, fight instead of calling the police. I'm not saying filming wouldn't be happening, but I'd like to think a piss-powered alien pummeling a subpar parent would be worthy of calling a higher power before publishing your pictures.
Sorry I sexualized you.
Apology we've been asking for from this show for the last 6 seasons comes out of the mouth of a character named the Pissmaster.
And you're getting a lot of hand clap emojis on white Twitter's impression of black Twitter.
Wow, it's sticky.
Yeah, that means it's found a pure heart it wants to bond with.
Wild. My orbs do the exact same thing.
You guys saw my son-in-law on the news. Now he gets a sticky orb. But what's the catch? We're not rubes.
Yeah, your power is well known in our jurisdiction, Rick Sanchez.
Jerry is bestowed with a magic orb that Rick doesn't qualify for because of his infamy in the galaxy. But if they've heard of Rick's exploits, shouldn't they at least have a vague knowledge of an incompetent human that is sometimes with him who inspires calamity and disappointment just by leaving his bedroom and realize he's unworthy of any orbs too? Yes, it'd be quicker to just say we hate Jerry, but I think this is more fun.
The orb is raw power. Trust your heart, Jerry. It will know what to do.
All-powerful item that doesn't have any fixed rules, but instead relies on the power inside you, and for once, can we just be told how things work instead of this hand-wavy emotional BS? Cliche. This orb is emitting a constant high-frequency tone that is not only making me hate its very existence, but is a disqualifying feature from being something anyone would want around them for any amount of time. Like Jerry.
Here's your goddamn suit. I hardwired the orb's infinite energy right into it.
Giving Jerry this much power, even if it is to prove a point to a piece of teenager.
This shooty thing looks cool.
That shooty thing is a nuclear disruptor that can blow up planets.
Okay, I get making the suit to shut everyone up and let Jerry have his time in the superhero spotlight, but arming the suit with a f***ing arm-mounted planet killer was 100% your choice, Rick. Jerry would have been content if the thing had a built-in TV remote, soda hat, and fidget spinner.
Space Hitlers are convening on Zeplar Prime.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem.
Tackling space Hitlers when we haven't dealt with all of our Earth Hitlers.
Auf Wiedersehen, bad guys.
I don't deny that the galaxy's most evil entities would take up the mantle of Space Hitler, but I do find it hard to believe their conference for all things evil would be so easy to find and destroy by Operation Valkyrie over here.
And there were no other people on the planet.
Are you sure? Because that looks like quite an infrastructure for just a handful of Hitlers. Who were their assistants? Where did they eat? Who ran the internet so that they could leave comments on YouTube videos?
You gotta be f***ing kidding me.
You mean the fact that we haven't seen the Smith family for setting up the couch in the dead center of the room and obstructing possible traffic flow? I know, right? Or maybe we have. You know what? We've literally sinned every episode of this show, so I don't even know anymore. I don't know that it's a sin, but I just want to know more about the booby doodle, okay? It raises many questions both about this therapist and the writers who put it there that we just never get answered. Release the boodle cut. Why is Toast the bad guy on Breakfast Planet? Forks literally slice your egg faces open and let your yolky innards pour out, and you're hanging them on buildings like wreaths at Christmas, you dicks.
The council said I could pick my own bridge crew.
Having free reign on your bridge crew and not even stopping to consider Patrick Stewart for a single solitary second.
Oh me, oh my, can it be? A giant piece of shit I see?
Creating a baddie takes effort and time, so sometimes you settle for a legume that can rhyme. Of course, sinning such things can be equally taxing, but alas, 'tis my job, not this poetical waxing. Meme chasing. Whatever food this is. Rick will now walk in on a dead pissmaster who's taken his own life because this show has handled tough subject matter so well in the past, why wouldn't they try it again?
Dad? Mom told me you weren't responding to her calls.
And this will be the turning point leading Rick into the Pissmaster Rehabilitation Project. Is the show Trojan Horsing a Rick Rehabilitation Project into an episode about a Pissmaster Rehabilitation Project? It doesn't matter. I'm not buying either.
I know I said terrible things about you on my podcast.
Obnoxious millennial Skip.
I'm okay, honey. We're good.
This, barely putting any effort into a disguise, works for the rest of the episode.
Make sure you tell everybody Pissmaster saved you.
Out of guilt for being tangentially responsible for Pissmaster's suicide, Pissle Rick decides to create his own Pissmaster suit and send him out in a blaze of glory, instead of going back in time and convincing Jerry's mother that going on a date with Jerry's father is in no one's best interest. Oh, don't act like he's above doing that and just acquiring a Morty from a different universe. Thinking there's more to this world than news, entertainment, life, and video.
Now I'm gonna make a giant bomb, plant it in a city, and then have the suit autopilot the bomb into space. Boom! Everyone will think Pissmaster sacrificed himself.
As powerful as the arts of theatricality and deception are to the uninitiated, it's still a bad idea to model your convoluted plans on disappointing comic book movie climaxes.
I'm tempted to second guess a lot of that, but I think you might be nailing it.
Wait, what? The man just told you he's going to plant a bomb and hope the suit can save the day, and your response is therapy FTW.
But he's Pissmaster.
People change, Jerry.
Thinking that because it's possible for people to change, then it means we're required to let them back into our lives.
I can't stress enough. I'm 8 years old. I have no idea what I'm doing.
And yet, you somehow have a perfectly fitted explosive ordnance disposal suit and some sort of orphan infrastructure established. Look, I know the show's aware of this, but setting up your own jokes like this is asking me to suspend my disbelief as if it were a small family of elephants dangling 5,000 feet in the air from nothing more than a particularly overused elastic band and a crossed finger. Also, does Orphan Island not realize you can be orphaned at all sorts of ages and not just as children? In fact, more elderly people are orphans than kids. Chew on that, the internet.
You were Pissmaster the whole time?
Obviously not, Jerry. I put the suit on once Pissmaster killed...
Rick will now very obviously backpedal and claim that he was Pissmaster the whole time and everyone will buy it despite it being utter bullshit and not making any of the sense. I guess they just really trust Rick. And/or they know there are only 2 minutes left and we need to wrap this up.
Why would Rick even prop me up like that?
Jesus, Jerry, Rick did something nice for once, okay? He's obviously trying to change.
You mean, obviously the show is trying some sort of redemption story arc that has never worked in the past and isn't working now. The man discards people and worlds like toilet paper, uses them to clean up his own shit, and then casually eliminates them. I bet he doesn't even look at them before he flushes. What? That's what people do. How are you supposed to know if you're clean if you don't—
Wait, Morty, you have to promise not to tell anyone, but your dad made Pissmaster kill himself.
Ah! What the hell? He killed himself?
Kids.
Wait, you kept the suicide note?
Morty would be excellent at what the f is this episode even trying to tell us about Rick's psychosis sins.
I have a pitch.
We're not going to add Scarlett Johansson.
Not adding Scarlett Johansson.
Why are we waiting in line for food?
Rick asks this instead of the very obvious, why are we waiting in this wildly inefficient line for food? Look, any good business should have a grasp of basic queue management systems, and in a space this confined, your basic, hardly structured queue just isn't going to cut it. At the very least, this asteroid should have barriers in snake formation to maximize the lateral space, but really this calls for an e-ticketing system where an order is placed, the customer returns to their vehicle, and is called up once their food is ready. Ideally, considering everyone is driving here anyway, a multi-window drive-through situation would be the dream, but come on guys, it's just a cartoon. I'm not that nitpicky.
Rick, you're gonna spoil your appetite. That's a weird way to say I'm gonna stop being hungry by eating food.
Right out of the gate, Rick would be a season 2 episode of Rick and Morty at TV Sins.
What a wonderful thing to say.
I was merely inspired by the wonderful thing you said.
The comment section of every TV Sins video somehow makes it into the episode. Now, for those of you who haven't paused, I know you're the ones that have been leaving the comments, and I see what you write, and I would just like to say, Thank you! Your adoration for my brilliantly executed wit and expertly crafted comedy stylings is obviously expected, but still appreciated nonetheless. So, the sin as always is me being excellent at TV sins. Well, at least the mystery of the long line has been solved. What kind of assholes go to a food truck to order this many, burrito sub-witches?
How nice it will be for you to eat what you were willing to stand in line for so much sooner.
Trying to incept the idea into someone's head that they should be happy about the way you've treated them because of how you feel about it. I'm not sure which vehicle warning light this is, but I'm sure it's one of them.
Dear fellow.
Littering the ground with your unwrapped lettuce-filled, Hot Pockets?
Good day.
Chainmail that is this ineffective against a f***ing sword. Whoa, wait a minute. Rewind that sh**. Without a word of warning, Sir David of Mitchell is either teleported out of the blue by an external force causing him to drop the food, or he deliberately drops the food and teleports them back to the sun. Either way, what the f*** was the point of this trip if all the food has been left behind? Why did Rick put this portal on the floor? We've seen portals appear out of thin air many times, so it's not like they require a physical surface like portals. If he'd used it normally, then he and Morty could have run through it without stopping. 6 seasons. 6 seasons this has been bugging me.
Our lives are never ending, but not even in the dumb vampire way where after a while you hate it.
Well, that's a pretty bold statement to make. Are you speaking on behalf of everyone? Even what looks like peasants who don't get fancy armor and swords? And how can this be something you truly know until you've lived for millions of years and are endlessly suffocating through the heat death of the universe?
It is the home of the solar scepter, around which all worlds revolve. The men who keep it safe are admired by all and live as gods.
Admired by all? Then how the f*** is Morty only just hearing about them? We'll learn that there are people living on all the planets of the solar system, all of whom are aware of the Sun Knights, yet the most populated planet in the solar system hasn't got a clue?
It's a terrific and painful sacrifice we all make for the most important and powerful job in the universe.
Careful how you're throwing the word universe around, sir. You're not even the best drummer in the Beatles. Wait, I may have my star punchlines confused.
No, the sword has already seen Blade and loved it. You'll be fine.
Introducing us to a larger sentient Blade doesn't make it any less of a recycled concept.
I'm a drunk, I'm a psychopath, I'm a murderer.
Rejected lines from Meredith Brooks' 1997 hit song somehow make their way into this episode.
A merry sweet songbird sing.
The show's acting like Morty's more upset by the singing of these knights than he is by the fact that they only have honey to put on their pancakes. Jerry, Beth, and Summer all appear to be chewing and swallowing despite having a plate of intact pancakes. Why is breakfast such a challenge for this show?
Yeah, so there you have it. Traditions suck ass and your most foundational beliefs are total bullshit.
Morty's lecture, though strikingly similar to the experience of taking a college-level history course, for some reason includes a diagram that presents all of the planets on the same orbital ellipse. And a room full of space travelers lets him get away with this.
I just used your computer phone to search despair.
Bullshit, you did. This phone is clearly on the History of New York podcast, and even if the rim prices there are bad enough to have this pop up when you search despair, it's certainly not the first hit, or even above the site with the demotivational posters. So if Rick and Morty need spacesuits on the moon, are we saying that the asteroid at the start of the show had a f***ing atmosphere?
Haven't you seen, like, all of the universes? Exactly, so why would I hang out on Pluto? That's some Jerry League shit.
You take that back. Pluto has had a rough time enough as it is without that sort of slander.
Do the Knights of the Sun plan to protect Mercury from this chaos?
The Mercurians choose to ceremonially cut off their right breast instead of their and I don't know if this was a low-key way to raise awareness for breast cancer in both women and men, but that's certainly the reason I'm pointing it out, so I'm removing a sin because the animators gave me the opportunity to do so. But also, the animators let this scar migrate from the left in this shot to the right in this shot, so I have to add a sin again because they gave me the opportunity to do so.
It's all you, pal.
This fireworks.
Don't I have, like, authority over this Sons of the Moon meeting?
Looks like Morty went to the King Viserys school of asserting your authority.
Santa? What the hell is that? I'm the Earl of Earth, goddammit!
The Earl of Earth has no idea who Santa is. How can you be the Earl of Earth and not understand the true meaning of Christmas?
Venus questions the legitimacy of this king's authority.
I've been trying to put my finger on why this episode isn't quite landing for me, and then this line suddenly hit me like an unannounced 10-year time jump. I think the episode shot for Game of Thrones but accidentally landed in House of the Dragon. Now, there's a chance that they sabotage their own episode as a meta way to have a pop at how boring the Thrones concept is in and of itself. But that would be like me publishing this video without any of the punchlines, and I get accused of doing that enough as it is.
It's up for grabs! Get it!
Writers realized there was no British noble title that began with the letter N, so they just gave Neptune a silly voice and called it a day. We won't dare play the song out of fear of angering some pink guy, but Goodbye Blue Sky is currently soundtracking the Solar War. So the sin, as always, is Ruby Tuesday. Is ye old neutral zone on the moon? If so, why are the Sons of the Moon okay with this? And if it's because the Sons of the Moon moved all their operations to the sun, why haven't we started referring to them as the Sons of the Sun? Santa Claus is not looking on the bright side of life in this scene. Technosplaining your type's position. Type-no-splaining your war crimes position.
What is this? Vat of acid again?
We weren't thinking it was vat of acid again till you brought it up. Then we did think it was vat of acid again because you brought it up. Then we thought it was less about doing vat of acid again and more about doing self-referential callbacks because you think we love that shit. Then we thought maybe we'd like it if you did do vat of acid again because as it turns out, we might love that shit. And then we thought maybe vat of acid again was just a metaphor for trying to love again after being burned one too many times. Then we thought, what's vat of acid again got to do with it? Who needs a vat when a vat can be broken?
Morty, this family's got enough clones and robots in it.
I'm not sure if Rick is using "in it" as an American way to confirm that one or more of their family members are robots, or if he's using the British slang "in it" as a bit of filler to elicit agreement from Morty. But what I do know is that this episode has far too many not funny jokes in it.
Living on the sun has turned our veins into triple bonded carbon, so try this tale on for size, Mortaniel. We can't OD!
Well, sure, triple plotted veins will do the trick, but didn't you guys say you were mortal and only died when you chose to? Wouldn't that be a pretty solid defense as well? Also, who, while on a sun-adulterated heroin binge, stops for any amount of time to confirm the composition of their veins?
I'll give you a fake with 3 layers of failsafes.
Yeah, but if 2 of those failsafes start rubbing against each other, it could really undermine the whole endeavor. Also, why not just let Morty cut his dick off and then grow it back for him later? Not that I want to see this. I'm just saying, we've seen Rick grow parts of bodies, clone entire bodies, and change the entire genetic makeup of a species multiple times. Growing back one penis should be a cakewalk.
We're gonna make your so fake, buddy.
Is a thing Rick said to his grandson in this episode.
The signal! Sir, the Knights of the Sun are once more!
Everyone starts destroying their weapons as soon as the sun signal starts without confirming that all of their enemies are doing the same or that peace is actually at hand. This is like ending your crime spree in Gotham after seeing the bat signal without confirming that Batman isn't just tied up with the Joker or some shit. Okay, it's not exactly like that, but at some point the criminals of Gotham should realize that the fucking bat signal doesn't mean shit for them. And if Batman is chasing after petty thieves, then he should look at where he's dedicating his resources. I mean, why does he even attend bank robberies in progress? All the fucking money is insured anyway. The does the bank care? Yeah, I know the money will get used for drugs and weapons and stuff, but is a glorified nightlight really inspiring that much fear in hardened criminals? What was I saying again? Did your covert disguiser really need that very visual notification that it's been turned off? Also, why can this hologram be deactivated at the touch of a button, but not reactivated at the touch of a button after Morty goes through the scanner?
Whoa, a sunspot!
What where?
Something. Morty's pixelated clone slinkies down the stairs. Improv the rest, is how I imagine this scene was written.
Okay, well, go on through. And of course, by prosthetic, we mean witchcraft.
A little witch is funny and all, but this was clearly designed for a humorous reveal and not to actually fool anyone. I'm not even sure why Morty's pretending this one was gonna work.
We even checked with a royal ladle to ensure it was real sun, not just them hiding beneath in a vat of fake sun.
Show thinks it's funny that it was vat of acid again this entire time, showing favoritism.
Coming right up, 3 losums.
How about 10 years in jail?
Oh, if you were about to arrest him for trafficking these creatures, did you have to open with ordering some to be eaten? They get their poor little heads punctured also that you can have your big gotcha moment, you selfish bastard. This is like fucking Batman deciding to disappear on Jim Gordon mid-sentence just so, hey, don't you ding me off, I've got things to say. Skipping your cold open and intro. How dare they change the format of their own show? I see the lights Jerry hung around the roof of the house in Rattlestar Galactica are no longer part of the arrangement. So here's a sin for pissing all over Christmas traditions. And here's another sin for pissing all over continuity. And here's a third sin for, well, just pissing in general.
Rick Sanchez here with gifts from across the multiverse.
Come on, people. St. Richolas was right there. Although I would have also accepted the Dutch variant, Sinterklaas. Also, pandering to the misguided idea that your captive audience will appreciate you traveling the vast multiverse to acquire gifts that they think they'll love while failing to realize the hollowness that often comes with obtaining things you once thought were unobtainable. Or, more simply, pulling a multiverse of madness.
For Jerry, an extra-dimensional version of Miracle on 34th Street.
I love the idea that in the entire multiverse, the best gift Rick could find for Jerry was a f***ing movie. It brings me comfort knowing that there just isn't the technology out there to give him a tolerable personality or a few extra brain cells. Also, is that a f***ing VHS tape? And for the people young enough to ask, what the f*** is a VHS tape? Watch your language and get the f*** off my lawn.
Morty's only gonna use this very honorable weapon in designated Jedi zones.
Hearing this caused the meaty object between my ears that Jerry is missing to wonder, how did this lightsaber make it into the very not Jedi, not Disney designated zone of Rick and Morty? Wait, does Disney own Rick and Morty? All right, let me see here. Okay, we've got Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon. Hi guys, thanks for watching. Cartoon Network, Warner Brothers. Oh no. Oh no. Damn you, Discovery.
Here, I'll do it myself. No!
I know that for the most part, Rick and Morty fly by the seat of their AI-controlled pants, but on this occasion, I really think there should have been some firm ground rules in place before laser sword playtime. Simple things like no running in the house, or no arguing over who gets to use it next, or no leaning on one of the greatest weapons in pop culture history to make your finale more entertaining. Haphazardly storing the able-to-slice-through-metal laser death stick right next to your definitely not stronger than metal taint-adjacent intangibles.
Okay, we overshot it. Good problem to have. Still doing the ear roll? I told you we should have gone to 10. No, Morty, not 10.
Rick is right on the money here, and how does Morty not see that? Obviously, there's a very important story-based reason for Morty to go to floor 10, but labeling the button with a sign that says Morty should definitely not go here at any point during the finale would have felt less contrived than making Morty a total dumbass.
Rick! You dumb f***ing robot. You had one job.
A job that you dumb f***ing human, could have made a whole lot easier by not putting an unsecured stop to your secret lab in the elevator. Why does this lab even have an entrance to stumble upon? We're expected to believe that Rick would rely on a Rickbot to keep people away instead of just putting this lab somewhere completely void of life, like the moon, an asteroid, or Jerry's skull.
You gave him a f***ing lightsaber for Christmas? It's almost like someone designed me to be 22% more thoughtful than you.
He lightsaber is his definition of 22% more thoughtful? How is gifting one of the coolest pieces of technology ever created equate to 22% more thoughtful than putting your grandchild at risk on a near daily basis? Move aside, Morty. I'll put up with living in the anus of a space lizard if it means I get a lightsaber.
The presidential Black Hawk is landing on the lawn.
Who dropped a lightsaber perfectly vertical?
How close do the Smiths live to the damn White House? I can buy that the president is somehow monitoring their house for shenanigans, but he managed to get here within minutes of going sideways. I mean, going perfectly vertical.
You know what's in the hilt of that thing?
Kyber crystals!
Okay, nerd.
I mean, right? Plus, it's not Kyber crystals. The lightsaber's power source is clearly the incoherent ramblings of a man who, 20 years after, didn't realize he'd made the greatest movie ever and decided he needed to keep tampering with it like a little kid and make Han Solo not be the kind of guy who shoots first.
Whatever it is, when it hits the core, it's going to cause a chain reaction that destroys the Earth.
How the f do they know what effect a fictional gadget's going to have on the planet's core? And how does this thing even exist? Its presence presumes that somewhere in the multiverse, there either exists a universe that exactly emulates the LSD-induced fever dream of a man in this universe, or a universe where, inspired by said fever dream, someone created a lightsaber for commercial use or their own enjoyment. Both are possible, but either way, how the f does the president of this Earth know what a f***ing Kyber crystal would do to the planet's core? George Lucas doesn't even f***ing know how they work.
Fans turned on him and started giving any knucklehead with nerd cred a shot and churned out these irredeemable cash grabs. Half pretend to be satisfied, half on it.
The president's little diatribe here makes me realize that half the internet would be excellent at Star Wars sins. But I'm not telling you which half.
It's the worst Christmas ever!
Oh, well, one positive, Morty, is that your feet haven't fallen off of your body from frostbite after standing outside barefoot for the last couple of minutes.
If I wanted the government in my house, I'd buy an Alexa.
Right? What kind of an idiot would be dumb enough to do that? Hey, Google, is the government listening to me?
I'm singing a song. I'm your assistant and I'm singing la 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 la.
That's so f***ing cool. What was I saying?
I'm no expert, but it seems we got a certain amount of time to build a big drill ship.
Saying this when there's a literal time remaining counter behind you.
Good luck finding a good scientist on Christmas!
I mean, Christmas doesn't take away a good scientist's ability to be good, does it? And yes, I'm sure he meant to say, good luck finding a good scientist to come down here on Christmas, but he didn't say that, and I'm the type of grinchy asshole to make sure that gets pointed out.
All right, genius. I give you permission to make our drill ship fast.
Calling someone a genius who's adorned in nothing more than a lab coat and boxer shorts while playing with a yo-yo. Then you say, but Mr. Narrator, yo-yos are fun. And then I say, watch your language and get the f*** off my lawn.
Vertisaber, state your prime directive.
To stay vertical.
And yet Vertisaber will almost immediately not be vertical.
Progress report. Vertisaber, do you copy?
Do I have to respond every time?
I know this is leading to a joke about the dangers of AI technology becoming too clever to follow our orders, but is Rick really dumb enough to instigate this? He's looking directly at a visual update of Vertisaber's progress, and yet he's still pestering it every few seconds as if he's Jerry wondering why his grilled cheese sandwiches keep breaking the toaster.
Let's play a Christmas game.
Christmas games.
That's what happens when you let people in and they stop respecting you.
Skip. Sorry, was that disrespectful?
Approaching the lightsaber in T-minus... now. T-minus now. Sorry.
And this apology, continuing for several more seconds, means that there actually was a T-minus amount of time he could have shared but didn't. Stop making a mockery of the T-minus system. Movie tension isn't going to falsify itself.
This franchise raised me. I own Star Wars, not you. I earned this, not you.
Once again, Rick and Morty hold a mirror up to the dangers of toxic fandom by showing us how easy it is to feel like you own a franchise because you watched it first or you liked it before it was cool. I applaud them for shining a light on gatekeeping culture and the tendency to turn fandom into a competition instead of a celebration. Of course, you might have missed that if you're new to the show and haven't bothered to watch every episode and purchased all the comics, video games, and other ancillary media like me, a true fan.
I would be honored if you would carve the ham this year.
I would be less sin happy if someone in this family would acknowledge that they have zero clue where Morty has been for the last few hours, and maybe if one of them was concerned about that fact. Also, putting fruit on meat. Stop it.
You're not my grandpa. You're a f***ing robot.
I'm not sure if I should sin Jerry for just going ahead and cutting into Rick, even though Jerry couldn't be 100% positive Morty was telling the truth, or if I should remove a sin for Jerry taking the initiative for once. I'm pretty sure there's no God that would forgive me for removing a sin for Jerry, so I'm going to go ahead and play those just in case there's an afterlife odds.
I'm just glad I'm not the one that ruined Christmas.
I mean, you did make your family aware that Rick was an imposter bot, and they were perfectly happy and content with not knowing that, so you didn't not ruin Christmas.
People of Earth.
That's never good.
I'm not here to play.
The president, who is on TV, pauses so that Beth can get her line in.
Will we launch the White House into space? Well, I'm busted.
But other than comedic timing, there's really no reason you should be. Was the lack of gravity in space a surprise? Did the genius minds who managed to turn the f***ing White House into a f***ing spaceship also forget to tell the president that making this broadcast at the exact moment they lose gravity was not a good idea? Scream all you want, Rick, but this unholy monitor monstrosity is totally within your power to change. Why has this map been spread across multiple monitors? Look at all the gaps he must be missing. If they're zoomed in to compensate for any gaps between monitors, that's even worse because then the whole thing isn't to a consistent scale. Oh, so now there's gravity on the White House. You.
Look at him! Lightsaber hand!
Which means the president already had access to the lightsaber technology, so why didn't he just have one made for himself instead of going through all the bullshit of stealing Morty's?
You think I want 30 low-run TV series with bad CGI? They film everything on that one big green screen.
Says the cartoon.
A robot with lightsabers for eyes! God damn it, he can't see!
So this droid wasn't tested, like, at all? Some asshole just sent the first draft to print without thinking, I wonder if we should beta test this first, as if they're working on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Yeah, shove that topical joke in your will immediately date this video pipe and smoke it.
Star Wars rules say you have to forgive me.
Actually, the Star Wars rules say that Jerry has to swoop in and throw the president into a bottomless void where we miss the next 30 to 35 years of Morty's life, and instead of seeing any of the cool shit he does, just skip straight to his green milk addicted retirement years. No. Also, you could probably have a Portal Ex Machina sin in just about every episode, but this one seems more insane than most, so here's one sin plus the other 50 we should have already given in previous episodes.
I should have included you in my
So we're clear, no one should ever be included in your That's your It's personal, and also biodegradable, I think.
Ooh-wee, what a season, huh?
Mr. Poopy Butthole callbacks aside, here's one more reminder that Rick and Morty would be excellent at TV sins.
Stop being meta.
Why do I have a reality of origin?
Because I'm green, isn't it? Watch yourself, it's the claw. Ooh, the claw's coming at you.
You stabbed me with a potato peeler.
I got it! Sorry! Shoot him, you dumb
Hey, Mr. Goldman Bach-Majorian. Still alive, huh? Well, what's up?
No, my story begins in 19-2.
We had to say dickety, 'cause the Kaiser had stolen our word 20.
Rick was always right.
Humans need more animal blood. It keeps the spine straight.
You know, never thought I'd say this, but
If we put a tax on soda, I mean, what's next? Income?
Can't we just go back and fix it?
If you can't fix what's broken, you'll go insane.
Maybe let me kiss you finally?
I'm fine. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Correction. What you don't have is a head.
I'm not entirely sure what you're suggesting.
I'm entirely sure you're entirely sure what I'm suggesting.
I'm a 14-year-old boy in a video game!
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, look.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Oh, walkie-talkie.
I'm walkie-talkie. Are you walkie-talkie?
Instead of handing me an unloaded gun, she'll hand me a...
Get the kayak or the buckets!
Let's just put our guns down and let's settle this the conversation.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Gail strikes me as a very beautiful woman. But you know, there's a little tension in her voice. Could be one of two things. Either Gail is nervous or unsatisfied.
I find this is usually the biggest help.
Why are you so into Pinot? I mean, it's like a thing with you.
We get to say anything to each other. Things we'd never say to anyone else, even ourselves.
Could Houston be misinterpreting the data?
Hell no, secrets are great. For instance...
I was doing the bloody disco 100 years before any other f***er.
Seriously, you two?
Barclay's been running some unusual programs.
Well, that was unexpected.
I agree. For the record, we made a mistake.
You've never been to a breakfast orgy? They didn't have churches in your time. Oh.
Been having him do crunches while I sleep.
I work out.
Hola, mamá, ¿cómo lo llevas?
Speak English, Marlena.
Who wants cake?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
So anyway, get back to my story. I had like 2 of those 7-layer burritos. Let's just say they didn't schedule any bathroom breaks in the middle of my niece's christening.
Why are you wearing that suit?
Why are you wearing that stupid man suit?
That's fair.
Hit the sheets, David Noise.
Night person!
3 darts is too much.
You know, fortune cookies only come true if you eat the cookie first.
You sure that doesn't sound right?
You're gonna be eaten by a big greasy monster. Have a nice day.
Why are you dressed like Morty?
That guy in a little coat. That guy in a little coat.
These are 2 shoe boxes.
What's in the box? Pain.
Can I just tell you which box I would put my penis in?
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Chip, favorites playlist, track 1.
I'm going to do a terrific show today, and I'm going to help people because I'm good enough.
Mr. Spicoli, you're on dangerous ground here. You're causing a major disturbance on my time.
Dinosaurs are back.
Latu, Barada, Nikto.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sheldon Cooper. Welcome to Sheldon Cooper Presents Fun with Flags.
You're dinosaurs? Thought you were dead.
Now, you pay attention, old Rooter. The great circle of life has begun. But you see, not all of us arrive together.
I do think it's kind of funny that you're all basically Jerry now.
You take that back!
You think I'm gonna side with you over hyper-intelligent creatures operating way beyond your comprehension? I have more in common with them than you.
We don't need so-called superheroes. What Empire City needs is more cops. And a Hooters.
It ought to be here, but it isn't. Gravity is pulling all the stars in the area towards this spot.
Now please welcome your host, an old science guy who got rid of the dinosaurs, Rick Sanchez!
You'll be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards.
Thanks for solving that murder, guys.
Not many people know I love swamp bass.
Oh yeah, no, you don't want to wear those over here.
Things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
His name is Story Lord.
What kind of stupid name is that?
I'm your worst nightmare.
What's the prime time?
If I suck your blood, I'll be...
What is my purpose?
To chew bubblegum and kick ass.
No more a prick than you, friend.
Well, I'd like to take a moment to review the several ways in which you're a douchebag.
I can't hold them off, Rick! There's too many!
Game over, man. It's game over.
Happy?
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
It is I, Cookie Magneto.
Go f yourself.
If you fight this guy, I'm either an asshole for not helping or an asshole for helping.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
Beware my power. Green Lantern's light!
Oh me, oh my, can it be? A giant piece of shit I see?
Wait! Who are you?
I'm Batman.
Well, Thor's taking on a squadron down on 6th.
And he didn't invite me.
Orphan Island, a city populated entirely by orphans, now sits on the brink of doom.
It's a hard knock life for us.
I found him dead and I put on his suit, but look at this. He literally blames your dad.
Wow, the plot thickens. Didn't even know you had a plot.
Now just cut off your penises and throw them into the sun.
Not quite my tempo.
This guy's the king of the sun.
Oh, wait a minute, this happened.
We are now the night to say, Icky, 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 for tang, zoom, boing,
What is this? Vat of acid again?
I understood that reference.
Come on, Morty, stop asking what you're asking and let's just get back to our crisis.
By all means, Dr. Selden, speak.
I admit, I wanted what you once had. Brotherhood, tradition, stability, purpose. I just didn't want to cut my dick off for it.
He's beginning to believe.
That walkway needs those knights need a king, and that king needs no dick.
But you're not king!
Yeah, go tell everybody. Your reward's gonna be cutting off your own dick.
Okay, well then, I changed my answer to just ignoring the question.
Rick Sanchez here with gifts from across the multiverse.
Oh my god!
Yes!
Presents are the best way to show someone how much you care.
Wow!
Here, I'll do it myself.
No! No! Wait, we live over a cool sushi spot?
Domo. Not now, though.
And I lost my lightsaber, and now it might destroy Earth, and you're unloading all this Gen X hatred on me for even wanting one, and it's the worst Christmas ever.
Jesus, Joseph and doggy style, Mary. That is a pile of dog shit.
Okay, that could have been worse.
Oh, that's not right.
Way to show us how it's done, Rick.
No notes.
Chic. Ho, ho, ho.
Worst crossover ever.